80-20 sort of approach where 80% of your core will not change. Just because there is a tariff coming, there is a war going on somewhere, your core business and why you exist as a business should not change.
CFOs focuses a lot on margin improvement, right? So what is your strategy for improving margins, and how do you review this activity from?
So once you know those drivers, then it's easier to identify whether this is a long-term problem or a short-term one-off which we can sail through. So if it is a long-term problem, it is really time for taking actions. See, if you don't understand the business, don't call yourself business finance.
Got it.
In my first foray into manufacturing industry, I took my camera along with safety and permissions in line. I took pictures of every single area of the manufacturing process, and then I put a flow chart together. That was there in front of me all the time until I understood this mentally. This is what it entails.
Can you tell us a little bit about what this role is about? How does this help the company? How does this help finance?
What used to be where business exists for making profit, now it's become planet, people and profit. Business finance teams will need to segregate between, is this product capable of delivering desired margin? Which means, is it cost plus desired margin equals to price, or is it price minus desired margin equals cost?
Okay.
Sometimes it can be both.
Oh.
See, relationship building and influencing is a very important aspect of the job. So it's important to understand and read the room. You need to understand where this is coming from, what is behind it, who's behind it, and what is their reputation, and what is their aspiration. And a business review in a professional environment is more about going through a lot of details from a strategy, long-term strategy standpoint. Now there, if the business is particularly perform well, everyone's really happy about it. They go into celebratory sort of tone.
Yeah.
But if a business is lacking, they go into a lot of introspection.
Okay.
Now the level of introspection that happens in a boardroom is significant. And the CFO's role is very important here. They have to again read the room. The FP&A teams are using AI where they can make their life easier and give more qualitative output to the business.
Welcome to Stories Behind the Numbers. Here we meet leaders who build businesses and create enormous value to their stakeholders. We'll explore with them how they make decisions with operating team, management committee and at board level. We'll also understand how they build team, lead team and manage their team for effectively executing their strategies. Today we have a seasoned professional who has lived and worked in India, Switzerland, UK and Canada, who worked for 8 years in IT industry and about 15 years in food industry. I welcome Mr. Vignesh Chandrasekhar. Welcome to the show, Vignesh.
Thank you, Moti. Thanks for having me.
Briefly tell us about your life journey in corporate.
Sure. I mean, I started early on I decided to be a finance professional.
Okay.
And because numbers was something that I was very fascinated about. So once I started, CA was a natural course to go for. And once I did, I took up any job which was exciting. So I started off in the technology industry. So it's more than IT, it's more hardware, services, and then going on to office automation and also in semiconductors. So that is where my foundational years were. And once the foundational years where you look at financial reporting, the typical finance areas on SOX controls, and then you go on to business finance and costing, those sort of things. And then eventually it led me to an IT implementation with SAP and BPC reporting tools and so forth. So I got quite involved in shared services and technology deployments. So once that started, in fact, that sort of experience took me to the food industry.
Okay.
Because it's very sector agnostic. So once I went into the food industry, then it became corporate finance, treasury, and then eventually into strategy execution and business finance. So that's how it rolled. Finally became a CFO in the existing organization that I work for.
Excellent, excellent. So, I'm very fascinated by your experience in other countries like Switzerland, UK, and Canada, and of course India, right? So, tell me, how do you see the differences working in countries like Switzerland, UK, or Canada? How is it different from India?
See, Switzerland, although it's a country, it's very cosmopolitan. I mean, I worked in Geneva where all organizations and all multinational professionals live. So it's very difficult to generalize, but generally the culture in Switzerland is a bit laid back.
Okay.
They really respect work-life balance, and within the hours that they work, they are extremely professional and very organized. Whereas if you look at in UK and US, for example, very consummate professionals and extremely ambitious. So where the work generally takes more precedence, and people work really hard.
Okay.
And whereas in India, it's a bit of a mix. So I've seen over the 20 odd years that I've worked on, in India, we generally struggle to differentiate between work and life. We almost give our life identity through what we do at work. And so that's one aspect of work-life balance and the general struggle to differentiate between your personal and working career. That generally is what I see more in India. And of course, now the last decade or so, as you know, India has become extremely growth-oriented. A lot more things are happening around it. So we are going through an evolving phase. So it's very difficult to say how it will be next 10 years, but it's very exciting.
Okay. The other thing which I'm very curious to know and itching to ask immediately is many people say it's very difficult to work in a promoter-led businesses, right? And you having worked largely in either a MNC or a listed company space in the initial part of your career, how do you cope up, or how do you see from your experience to this general notion about difficult to be in a promoter-led business?
See, I think it's firstly unfair to generalize, right? So let's get the definitions sorted out first. Multinational companies, in my opinion, are companies which have large-scale businesses in several countries. They have started somewhere as an origin and have the headquarters somewhere, but they are present across the world. Whereas a promoter-led company generally is having a very high dominating presence in the country of their origin and is largely held by a group of individuals who started the business, either from their own family or a group of individuals who started together. Now, the big difference between the two organizations is in the governance. Okay. Now, think of it like a sports team. Now, very clear roles and responsibilities are defined in multinational companies. So each player in a football team, for example, will know which part of the field that person is going to cover. Very clear procedures, and if they don't perform, very clear consequences. Whereas in a promoter-led company, one person can be a defender one day, and who can be a goalkeeper another day, and who can be in the front forward some other day. Now, why is it so? Because the promoter is more comfortable with people they trust. Okay, there is a tendency to have people-centric approaches, whereas in an MNC it's more process-centric culture. Now, in an ideal world, my experience is that if you run a promoter-led company, and if you take some good aspects of what is going well in a multinational governance, it tends to be the most effective. So I feel that currently I work for one such organization, and which makes my experience very enjoyable. Now, I'll explain you with some examples.
Absolutely.
Now, if you look at what happens in key decision making, so you want to launch a new business. Now, in a multinational company, clear frameworks will exist. How to launch, what are the parameters for success. There is a clear approval mechanism. There is no something called, there is a gut feel. I have a conviction about this project, which actually, so that sort of environment does not give room for something like that. We are finance professionals, so for us we see numbers like IRR and payback, and you see what the profit line, top line, bottom line contribution this project is going to make. Sometimes a project may not be about all that. In a multinational company, such projects takes a lot of tough path to get approved. Whereas in a promoter-led company, such a business, the promoter is willing to take a risk. The promoter is willing to give more conviction. It's actually very inspiring. At the same time, the flip side is the risk too much risk taking is also a problem. This is where we as CFOs come in, right? So you started the question by saying, is it more difficult to work? Well, I don't think it's more difficult, but there are some bad examples, especially in India, where promoter-led companies tend to keep power within a certain group of people, and therefore the freedom is lost. I also feel that freedom is gained by earning trust. You need to be patient for the first couple of years. Earn your trust with them. Understand what are the nuances, what are the aspects that the promoter is concerned about you, how you can as professionals solve their problems. Once you establish the trust and you also make it clear to them that, hey, I'm here as a professional for you. Please try to respect me and I'll give you value. Once the trust and mutual connection is established, it's a lot easier to navigate that path. I can't imagine navigating something like this in a multinational company.
Absolutely. I think you are making very important points. I also think all companies, whether it is an MNC or listed, are all first promoter-led, and only after that they become a listed or an MNC. And you are making an interesting difference actually, which I learned from you is, as long as there is a process orientation and rationality in a promoter-led organization, then it is no different to the MNC. And you are actually bringing another important point, that in such organization, the decision making is even more faster. That makes the job a lot more easier. Excellent, thanks. You are leading a global business, and today every day is a new day. Every day we expect some new tariff will come, or a new change in rules that are happening, whether it is in India or abroad. And all these have lots of ramification in currency markets, in stock markets, and in debt markets. How do you manage so much of this complexity impacting your global operation? How do you manage that?
See, I want to go back to the COVID time, right, where things really start getting disrupted. In COVID times, situation changed almost on a weekly, monthly basis.
Yeah.
Where we were busy preparing for different scenarios. What if we have a longer shutdown? And what if the business suffers for a month, quarters together?
Yeah.
So we had 3-4 different scenarios at any point of time playing out. The situation due to geopolitics has become almost on a daily basis. You don't know what's coming, right? How can you even plan for scenarios which changes 360 degrees over a period of 24 hours?
Yeah.
So what I felt is, now we're still going through the journey. There's no right answer for this. Only time will tell now how we should adopt. But what I feel is we need to be very clear about what is the balance you want to strike. There is the balance about protecting against risk. And there is also the balance about continuing to do what your core strategy is. So what I feel is we should adopt a maybe 80-20 sort of approach, where 80% of your core will not change. Just because there is a tariff coming, there is a war going on somewhere, your core business and why you exist as a business should not change. Now, for the other 20%, you also need to realize that you can't continue doing it the normal way you've done thus far. So therefore, you need to be prepared to be nimble, adaptable, and be able to take on risk. So that's where the CFO's role becomes very important. Focus on simple discipline. Ensure that we have adequate cash. Ensure that we don't take very high risk bets at this point of time. Don't make large investments where there's high uncertainty. And focus on core discipline, where we can build the financial muscle in the organization. If we can do that, anything that comes our way, we are in a better position to manage. This is all I can tell you, because we never know what bullet is going to come your way in the next
CFOs focuses a lot on margin improvement, right? So what is your strategy for improving margins, and how do you review this activity from the CFO office?
See, for me, on any business decision, Murthy, there are 3 components that you should be concerned about. I see it as a triangle. The top line, the bottom line, and the cash. Now, if you make any decision, whether it's a product or launching a new business or trying to rationalize something where you feel that one of those three dimensions is not performing well, we have a problem. Generally, what I've seen is organizations like to call themselves very high on top line.
Okay.
Right? Oh, I'm a 3,000 crore company, I'm a 10,000 crore company, or a 50,000 crore company. You call it millions, whatever. Now, within that, how is your margin growing? Are you converting your top line into bottom line in a few years? And how much of your cash you are able to build from your bottom line? Now, if any of these three dimensions is not aligned, then the company is going south in terms of growth direction. It may feel like you're growing the top line, but if you're not growing the bottom line and the cash along with it, your survival becomes a problem in future. So as a CFO, I always make sure that these three components is always seen together.
How do you go about course correction? Let us say a margin is under pressure. How the CFO office, whether it is your FP&A team or the business and finance team, how do they help the business to improve that margin? Are there any process that you have towards that?
Yeah, so when we see that, I'm not a big believer of managing forecast. So I see forecast as a very directional thing. So once you have a forecast, you look at your actual performances. It tends to give you guidance in terms of where you're lacking and where are your pressure points. So once we do that, now obviously the FP&A team and business finance team's core job is to highlight where we are doing well and where we're not doing well.
Absolutely.
And what are the drivers which is actually causing problem.
Yeah.
And how we solve those problems. So that's what business partnering is all about.
Yeah.
Now, key data comes from there. They will say, for example, if a particular product has performed really well last year, but it's not doing so well this year, is it a temporary blip because of one-off cost increases, or is it a overstocking from somewhere which is causing the market to be flooded with the product, or is it because of some customer behavior or competition becoming more intense? So once you know those drivers, then it's easier to identify whether this is a long-term problem or a short-term one-off which you can sail through. So if it is a long-term problem, it is really time for taking actions. So we need to even start questioning whether the product is worth investing going forward. Because if the product is going to make less margins and is going to consume cash, so why are you doing that business? So if you become commoditized, if everyone else offering the same product, then what is your differentiation? So that's where you then change the game to say, how can I make the same product, but the same product which makes it difficult for competition to live through? How can I deliver more value to my customers? How can I become a partner of choice to my customers? So then you start talking about value creation in those opportunities. So it's important to use data and build a business around it and create a value creation mindset.
Got it. Okay. So you really gave a very good example of how to trim the product line, promote high margin businesses, and exit the businesses where there is a low margin or a negative margin. Are there examples of how you have helped improve the margins through your business finance team?
Yeah, I'll give you two examples. One where very specialized products, high margin normally, but slowly what happened is this is a very limited set of customers who buy the product, and therefore the market is also very niche. Now we realize that somewhere that there is only 40 to 50% capacity that's getting utilized. Okay. Now you need to innovate to see how can I use my 50% capacity, because where a lot of my fixed cost exist, and if I use it for a slightly differentiated product, maybe a cheaper variety or a different product which I can sell to a different market, then I'm using the entire capacity which has its fixed cost components, but I tend to make a totally different product, use a capacity. If I push up by another 20-25% of capacity utilization, I'm able to launch a product which is extremely cost competitive. And that also demands, that may not demand 40% margin straight away because it's a new product, there's a market to be created. But even if you make 20% margin there, it also affects the 40% to become 45%.
Overall,
because the overall overhead allocation and the spread becomes a lot easier. So this is one way of identifying where your cost base can be more efficient.
Excellent. Okay.
The second one, this is very important for manufacturing industry. We ultimately are judged by how much yield and recovery you can do in a product. And if you can change even 0.1% recovery through anything, better soil management, making sure that you have a bit more control over seeds, and even if you change one aspect of the manufacturing process where you eliminate where the waste is significantly higher, that itself is enough. Or it could be a matter of, we also did some analysis where one particular product in one plant was always making significant margins. It's a very high volume product, so we are producing in multiple factories. Then we also rationalized about this product in maybe the top 2 factories is going to be the best result from a yield perspective.
Got it.
And that changed significantly the amount of margin. So the business finance teams will tell you which product is best for which sort of plant.
Excellent.
So marrying those two together gives you the optimal solutions for the business.
Excellent. And tell me, in real world, the business finance team are more of a finance folk. How much do they need to really understand about the manufacturing or the product knowledge? How much do they need to know really?
See, if you don't understand the business, don't call yourself business finance.
Got it.
In my first foray into manufacturing industry, I took my camera along with safety and permissions in line. I took pictures of every single area of the manufacturing process. And then I put a flow chart together that was there in front of me all the time until I understood this and mentally this is what it entails. Right from A to Z, you need to understand as a business finance, especially in costing, what each aspect of manufacturing does to the product.
Got it.
If you understand that, you know where the bottlenecks are, you know where the cost leakages are, and then you're able to suggest improvements. And then same goes for commercial. You need to understand your customer. You need to understand your product. You need to understand the market competition. Which sort of customers give you the maximum value in terms of your commercial transaction. And you need to prioritize them. Which customers you can't lose, which customers you don't mind losing and prioritizing over someone else. So it's very important as business finance to understand business. Finance comes next.
Okay, that's well put, right? So as a business finance and also as a CFO, business comes first, finance comes second. Yeah, that's brilliant. One of the role that you play, you told me, is on the ESG. ESG is the environment, sustainability and governance. And it's really a very vast topic. And you are a chief of sustainability, that role that you play in addition to finance. And can you tell us a little bit about what this role is about? How does this help the company? How does this help finance?
Yeah, see, the environmental social governance is probably become more common these days. It's more in the vogue, but it's been there for last 10, 20 years also. So what used to be where business exists for making profit, now it's become planet, people and profit. So if you have to put a score, a qualitative score on how are you perceived in the society as an organization. When I say society, talking about customers, suppliers, employees, the government agencies and your own internal stakeholders. All of them are important. Now how each of them perceive you as an organization,
Okay.
that's essentially what we call as sustainability. Right? Within that, there is a very strong connection with finance, not only in governance.
Okay.
Obviously as CFOs, you are concerned about governance, but it's all about cost efficiencies, it's all about strategy, relevance and all that. For example, in a manufacturing company which processes food ingredients and many agriculture products, climate change is a very important aspect of change management and risk management. So you need to understand that. So my role in sustainability helps me understand this a lot deeper.
Okay.
And it helps us manage my supply chain more as a future looking. So I need to diversify my supply chain. If there is a climate issue in a particular geography where I'm completely dependent on, then my entire business is going to be in standstill. If I can diversify that and produce across seasons, across geographies, that's an aspect of climate change. So ESG is very much relevant to the business. It is no more about just ticking a box. It used to be a few years ago. But it's no more about that. It's more about what you genuinely do so that your business can sustain for the next several decades.
Okay.
So and within that, each stakeholder's expectations are very different. See, we call something called a materiality matrix.
Okay.
So what is that is, an investor, if you're an investor-led organization in listed companies, private equity and all that, so an investor's expectations may be very different. They want to know how resilient your business is, how safe is their money. If you are a customer, the customer wants to know, especially in food industry, where ultimately the customer's brand is what the people buy.
Okay.
And if I am supplying to a customer like that, I am there in the value chain. So customer's brand is in question if my products don't possess the right quality.
Makes sense.
So it's about trust.
Mm.
So that customer expectation exists. If you are a supplier, you, and especially you're a farmer, right? You're putting your blood and sweat into your produce, and then you are expecting the companies like us to buy. How reliable are we? Are we paying them on time? Or are we taking them for a ride, or are we giving them fair price? These are all aspects. Otherwise, why would they work for us in the upcoming seasons? So their expectation is very different. If you're a government, in certain geographies, a particular corporate's presence is very important to the entire society. It's about livelihoods, it's about sustenance. So for them, the government, it's very important that they are responsible corporate citizens. So all of these aspects put together is what we call as ESG.
Excellent. That's why you are saying planet, people, and profit, right? And this profit comes last. I hope that there is a balance in this.
No. See, I don't think anything comes last.
Okay.
Right? It is all about making sure that you equally look at balancing all of them.
Got it.
Sometimes you may have to protect the planet to take short-term profit hit. Sometimes you may have to, sustaining the business, you may have to prioritize profits and delay your longer-term sustainability goals. It is about what is pragmatically relevant for each business.
Got it.
But I wouldn't call any one parameter as less important.
Okay. So there are a couple of areas the CFO play a very significant role. Just wanted to pick two. One being pricing, right? So if you were to set a price for a particular product, are there a approach that you take or a technique that you say that, hey, this is the right price that you should basically apply for this particular sale?
Yeah. So what is pricing, right? It is cost plus desired margin equals price.
Okay.
So firstly, the business finance teams will need to segregate between, is this product capable of delivering desired margin? Which means, is it cost plus desired margin equals to price, or is it price minus desired margin equals cost?
Okay.
Sometimes it can be both.
Oh.
Right. So it's firstly it's important to understand which category does it belong. So once you know it is, then you have to understand, is it the margin or is it the cost I need to have better influence over?
Got it.
Sometimes your cost is not possible to influence, so you may have to stand down on your desired margin levels. Sometimes you may be able to influence your cost. I've given you some examples earlier. So maybe it takes those efforts to ensure that your cost is coming to an appropriate base.
Got it.
Eventually the pricing will play a role based on these factors only.
Excellent. That's very interestingly put, because in some business the cost drives the pricing, in some other businesses where the market has already established price, so pretty much price dictates what the margin you would have.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting way that you put. The other question I want to ask is about, how do you see a Capex decision? On what basis you support a particular Capex project, and in what ways that you basically reject a capital expenditure project?
Yeah, so it's a core aspect of capital allocation, is a core aspect of a CFO. So we understand that all capital expenditures may not have payback. So you need to understand, why is this capital project launched or even initiated? Is it because of addressing a particular problem? It could be a safety related problem, quality related problem, environment related problem. In those cases, if you understand this is a specific solution for a problem, you just close your eyes and support it.
Okay.
Because without that, the business and integrity of the business will be compromised.
Okay.
Now, if it is a launch of a new facility, capacity expansion, you're talking about cost efficiencies, then a lot thorough analysis needs to be done. What are the assumptions we are making? Especially in launches, I tend to be very, very careful and extremely realistic in terms of the expectations. Because a business will come and tell you that they're going to give you 40x multiple or a 25% CAGR. Is it realistic? You need to make that assessment. And what are the assumptions they're building into it? So it's important to spend time on that before you analyze a project. So capital expenditure in such cases where it's more strategic, a lot more thorough analysis of the market and product level needs to be done.
The assumptions taken from your standpoint as a CFO might be different from the same assumptions taken by the business leader. So there are going to be occasions where you would have a disconnect or an opposing thoughts, right? There might be, this may even lead to some bit of a tension. And many times these tensions are either not discussed or it is not spelled out very clearly, right? That pretty much leads to various other um, issues in the company. How do you handle these tensions?
See, relationship building and influencing is a very important aspect of the job. So it's important to understand and read the room. You need to understand where this is coming from, what is behind it, who's behind it, and what is their reputation, and what is their aspiration. Is it really that they are trying to genuinely solve a problem, or are they initiating something because they believe that there is more capital to be allocated? It's important to make the distinction. And frictions are very common in any business. It's important to say no with adequate reasoning and a lot of empathy. Because someone's really put a lot of hard work in initiating a proposal. If you blindly say no without them understanding why, the first solution should be, can you help them refine the project where you feel that you are happy with, to approve it, and they also feel that they're being heard. If it's grossly inappropriate and it's not going anywhere, might as well just tell them that we expect the project such as this to be much better evaluated.
Got it.
So it's about taking the time to have the conversation. And let me tell you one more thing. Most of the large scale, high stake projects gets discussed in a boardroom.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
In a boardroom, if somebody is coming in and doing a presentation, if you choose at the time to question them and ridicule them and put down the project, they will feel humiliated. But if you have the opportunity, pre-reads will typically come to a CFO way ahead of a board meeting. See, if we take the time to tell the business head, a couple of days in advance of the board meeting, hey, I saw your proposal. I think something is not aligned here. I'm going to say no, and this is why. It gives them an opportunity
to prepare.
Then the same decision goes well accepted, and they also appreciate you for giving them that opportunity to react accordingly.
Excellent. So you are saying analyze ahead of the meetings and then provide them with objective feedback and be transparent about how you think and give them a chance to reevaluate and revise. I think that's what I'm getting from you. And then be respectful for their hard work. Right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's, but at the same time, ensure you are a good gatekeeper for the proposals that passes through you to the board.
Absolutely.
That's excellent. Just a little bit about the boardroom that you talked about. Give me a peek into a boardroom on how strategic discussions are evaluated and what are the different players or how they discuss it.
See, a boardroom typically has many components. And I've seen the multinational sort of boardroom where it's very operational and strategy driven. And I've also seen now boardrooms in a promoter-led company where it's more about emotions, something that they're passionate about. Okay. Now, if it's a business review, let's give you an example of a business review.
Yeah.
And a business review in a professional environment is more about going through a lot of details from a strategy, long-term strategy standpoint. Now, there, if the businesses particularly perform well, everyone's really happy about it. They go into celebratory sort of tone.
Yeah.
But if a business is lacking, they go into a lot of introspection.
Okay.
Now, the level of introspection that happens in a boardroom is significant. And the CFO's role is very important here. They have to again read the room to understand there are independent directors. There are board members who are also CXOs. There are also board members who are the promoters or investors representatives. You need to understand how their expectations will be reacting to this. Because most of the time it will be the CFO will be doing most of the presentations in a business review sort of a conversation.
All right.
It's important to be prepared. In a promoter-led company, the same thing happens where the business review. You need to understand if there is one promoter who's backing this business or who is not backing this business. Because there what happens is, because their heart and soul has gone into that business, they sometimes will take any opinion expressed as a direct insult or a direct appreciation. So you have to be very careful in making sure that you're very factual and not make any subjective remarks.
Got it.
Whereas such sort of remarks in a multinational environment can easily be sailed through. In a promoter-led environment, you have to be very careful because it's often the identity crisis happens there. They equate that business equals to themselves.
Okay, that's very interesting. Read the room, act deftly. Excellent. Something, given that, once again, I'm coming back, you manage the global operations, you would have your team spread across the globe. How do you, manage the team and build the team, right? So, do you have any process towards that?
It's important to ensure that in our case, there is a cross collaboration that happens between certain geographies. When you know that you have a very select set of team members on board in a certain country, it's important you give them enough attention that they don't feel neglected. It's important to have a schedule where at least one day in a week you have time for connecting with them, even if it's for a very brief period. And the connection is very important.
Excellent.
And for me, it's also about understanding that what sort of problems you as a leader can solve for your team. Are they struggling with something and not seeking help? It's important to make an assessment of that. And I definitely spend a lot of time in making sure that outreach happens, especially when you have global teams.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. What's your view on AI, particularly its impact on corporate finance and larger finance that you manage in CFO office?
See, I think AI is only beginning to make its impact, and already I feel that it's done wonderful things for the finance industry. It is only going to make more automation, and it's going to take away a lot of low-skilled jobs. And I think finance is extremely pertinent here because one advice I tend to give to my people in my network is upskill. Because an AI, for it to replace a business finance person where the behavioral aspects, the sixth sense you have in the business is going to be extremely difficult. For an AI to do a research and analysis, you give them a trial balance and let it give the balance sheet, it's going to take 5 minutes for it to do it. So if your skill is about data management and routine sort of function, then you are at risk.
Okay.
But if your skill is more towards taking that foundation into making a value creation for the business, then you're going to survive regardless of what AI does. AI becomes a friend in that case.
Okay.
So it's about, for example, in my team, the FP&A teams are using AI where they can make their life easier and give more qualitative output to the business.
Can you give an example for the viewers?
So we have huge data, right? Now the huge data, and when you look at forecast, now we have designed a forecast process where it looks at the last 5 years history.
Okay.
And then AI will give me a first cut projected P&L.
Okay.
For me to develop that sort of, and it gives me different options on how do I construct that forward-looking forecast. So instead of starting from scratch, even if it's a well-oiled, business tool, it's a lot of effort to construct a P&L. Now, straight away, I'm looking at what this different scenarios are giving me.
Looks like.
And then already I'm able to tweak. Okay, the growth rate assumed is not right. Or product categorization is not adequately factoring in future competition. Or it's not factoring in the launch of new products. I can make those differentiations looking at it.
Okay.
So, and I can also look back at 5 years history and say, we had a phenomenal year or a phenomenally bad year. I have to discount for that. So, it allows me to make the differentiation. So, in FP&A, it's a very important aspect that AI is making life a lot easier. We've just got started.
Got it.
So, maybe next time we speak in a year's time, I'll be able to share more stories.
I am waiting for that. It's nice to have chat with you, Vignesh. 1 minute, if you want to share something about life, about the globe, over to you.
Yeah, see, for me, it's important to work hard and play hard because I believe that we spend 40 years sometimes in a job or in a profession, And if you don't take care of yourself and develop hobbies and enjoy your life overall, then the 40 years becomes a torture.
Okay.
So it's important to enjoy and create a value and purpose. So that becomes long term, sustainable and enjoyable for everyone. So the more we do it, the better.
I enjoyed the discussion with you, Vignesh. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Murthy.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. We will be having more finance leaders who will come into the show and share their stories and their journeys and how they achieved their success. Do subscribe to our channel for you to get an updation on the new episodes. Until then, goodbye.